We got a huge update for Dragons Dogma 2, but not just a new showcase, we also got an hour-long live stream of uncut gameplay that shows off the huge open world with no loading screens. We also got to see character creation, the new class vocation system which is based on summoning smoke illusions. They showed off the Drake boss and the new Shadow of the Colossus-like boss fight mechanics. We saw the new camping system, the cooking, the companions, and we get some good news for those of you that didn't play the first game. The official release date is March 22nd, but there are pre-order bonuses. Let's take a look. Now, I'm sure you know Dungeons & Dragons is the most popular tabletop roleplay game in the world, but now they're collaborating with today's sponsor, Dragonhair Silent Gods, which you can join from the link below. On the 17th of November, they added the iconic character Drizzt Do'Urden and his Black Panther, along with a new storyline with Eratu. And there's more iconic characters coming. But if you've not played it, Dragonhair is an open world fantasy RPG inspired by D&D. It still has the unpredictable dice rolls, the dialogue skill checks, and a unique character creation where you can make yourself an adventure with Drizzt. It's also got a tactical grid-based battle system with unique combat animations where you can experience Drizzt and his Black Panther in action. And most importantly, an adventure through a massive open world map where you'll find caves, forests, and mountains to explore. And it's already got over 10 million downloads in more than 10 regions, so click the link to join D&D Legends in Dragonhair on Windows, Mac, Steam, Epic, Android, and iOS, and use my code DICEROLL for in-game rewards. So starting out in character creation, we see an example of the huge leap forward in technology that we've had over the past 10 years. Dragons Dogma 2 uses photogrammetry technology to photograph real-life skin textures or eyes and apply them to the 3D character models in-game, which obviously gives them a much more realistic look compared to the last game. As for the customization itself, we get a glimpse at the new beast race, which has different fur patterns available and full color options so you can create a unique appearance. You can even change the thickness of the fur, while the humans have different skin colors and wrinkles. As you can see, they went extremely deep with the slider bars of each aspect of every facial feature, allowing you to really customize everything about your character, from earlobes to the ear tips. And we already knew that you could adjust the height and body type of your character, which will affect the gameplay, giving you an advantage or disadvantage to speed, stamina, carry weight, and so on. I talked more about that in yesterday's video, which I'll link down below. But it was also confirmed that alongside creating your own character, you will be able to design your own pawn companion that you'll be adventuring with. But more on that in a moment, because we already knew that there was going to be 4 class vocations available at the start of the game: the Thief, Fighter, Archer, and Mage. But Capcom just revealed a new advanced vocation. This is the Trickster. They run around with a ball and chain, which is essentially a priest's incense burner, and they can conjure illusions created through the smoke that comes out of it. But what do these illusions actually do? Well, they confuse the enemies into fighting themselves, and you can just sit back and watch. They also have a special ability that allows them to create a huge dragon from smoke, which can go toe-to-toe with other beasts, while distracting them from the rest of your party. We also see one illusion that creates a wall that might block projectiles, but we didn't see it for very long. Now, the Trickster can also buff their pawn companions to enhance their abilities, giving them quite a passive support gameplay style. This is clearly designed for players who want to manipulate the battle from the sidelines. But you may be disappointed to hear that, just like the Magic Archer and the Mystic Spearhand, which I spoke about in yesterday's episode, the Trickster is also exclusive to the Arisen, which is the main character. So only you can play these classes. You won't be able to turn your pawn into one of these and have it buff your party. Now, before we talk about the new quest gameplay, we need to talk about one of the most mind-blowing things we saw in the new Dragons Dogma 2 gameplay. It's the Shadow of the Colossus looking boss fight, which yes, is similar to Monster Hunter, which lo and behold is also published by Capcom. So I wouldn't be surprised to hear some of the same people working on this gameplay. But this is the Colossal Talos, who for whatever reason comes out of the sea to destroy something. Civilization, I don't know. But this boss fight really gives you a sense of scale as to how big some of the enemies are in this game. We see that the world is destructible as this colossal entity destroys bridges and walls. And to give you a sense of scale, you can see the tiny settlement visible in the background here. It looks like ballistas have been set up along the mountain pass to prepare for this battle. And we get a new showcase of the mounting system as us and our pawns attempt to destroy the exposed crystal empowering this megalith. We also see see another example of harpies being exploited to mount the Colossus. We know we can also use these to traverse the world and reach some unexplored places and secrets. They are actually somewhat controllable. It also seems that the grab mechanic can be used to break your fall from quite some distance. And there are some platforms on these mountable creatures that allow you to regain stamina instead of just grabbing onto them constantly. In the same way, we can now balance on flying mounts by just sitting on their backs, which allows you to regain some stamina, which would normally be consumed if you're grabbing onto their side or climbing up them. You can also drink stamina potions while holding onto them to stop you falling off. We also got to look at the new Drake boss and the Greatsword warrior class. Now the Drake looks like it's out of Game of Thrones, which I am here for. It looks incredible. And I really do pray that in the Elder Scrolls 6, dragons have animations that look this smooth. We are 10 years on from Dragons Dogma 1 and the Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. But heck, we're not even sure if dragons will be in the Elder Scrolls 6, though it would make sense from a lore perspective. We even see our own pawn parry the Drake, which is pretty dope. Now, beyond the main quest line, we can engage the inhabitants of this world through various different quests, which some of these NPCs will give us. And we go on one particular quest that reveals to us that there's an entire elven settlement called the Sacred Arbor. Here we can meet elves who actually speak a completely new language, made up for Dragons Dogma 2.
Forgive me. You do not speak our tongue, do you?
Fortunately, if you have your own pawn companion who has the specialization Woodland Wordsmith, they can actually translate the elven language into subtitles. Otherwise, you would quite literally have no idea what was going on here. But as you can see, pawns now have specializations which they can earn, and they will obviously increase their usefulness to other players since you can share your created pawn online to earn riftstones, which is the currency you use to get pawns into your party. And don't worry, if you play offline, they have some pre-made pawns that you can still use. But the commitment to the elves having their own language in this game reminds me of Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, and I really appreciate how that makes the world believable. Now, it turns out the elves don't like to interact with the other kingdoms who are currently fighting for the throne, but they do need help in rescuing one of the elf sisters. Now, we were told this game had multiple choices, and I don't know if she can end up dying or not, but one of the cool things I noticed is that you can pick her up and carry her in your arms, instead of just throwing her over your shoulder like you did in Dragons Dogma 1. Now, Dragons Dogma 2 not only has unique combat, it's also a narrative-driven adventure set in the fantasy world of Vermund, which we actually explored in the first game. And this is actually going to be a parallel world mirroring the first game, which means if you didn't play the first game, this is a new storyline, a world that hasn't been saved yet and the plot hasn't been concluded. So in this world, there's a power struggle for the throne between the human kingdom and the Beastren nation of Batal, which is this new desert region that no one's explored yet. We do see a few snippets in the gameplay of that area. You, on the other hand, are the new Arisen, but there is a false Arisen imposter who seeks to take the throne and already has support of the Queen Regent and his own party of pawns. So that boss battle is going to be very interesting. It seems like they've set up a lot of opposing factions and they have quite a few different political narratives at play here. And we've been told that there will be meaningful choices that actually make a big difference to the story and will lead to multiple playthroughs. And obviously, let's not forget the looming threat of the dragon that stole your heart. Now, we do get to see the map design a few times. The map is handcrafted and even more detailed than the first game. We see lots of forking paths leading to different locations, but this is just the local map because we also see that there's a larger map of the surrounding world, and in the north you can actually see the Desert Kingdom. Now, one of the new features in Dragons Dogma 2 is camping. As you're adventuring around this map and it gets dark, it's literally pitch black and you can't see anything. I went into more detail about this mechanic in yesterday's episode, linked below, but because of the harder enemies that spawn at nighttime, camping is definitely a welcome feature that will allow you to rest and recover health between your adventures. You'll be able to set up camp at specific campsites that have a fire pit. Once here, you'll be able to cook food, assign skills, talk with your companions, and rest until morning. I've no idea why the food looks so incredibly realistic, but it's a really nice cutscene that makes you want to go and cook some Wagyu. Now, Capcom are doing a pre-order bonus on PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. I wanted to take a look at this and get your thoughts on it. Of course, if you like what you see, you can grab it from the link down below in the description. And again, this video is not sponsored. I'm just very excited about this game. I just really want to see the next game do well, so hopefully we get a third game after that. I don't want another 10-year wait. And let's firstly take a look at the standard edition. This actually comes with superior weapons for each of the starting classes, and they will be available to you early. They're also obviously going to be more powerful than the starting weapons you'll get given, depending on what starting vocation you've already picked. But to be honest, you will eventually get better starting weapons for each vocation as you play the game anyway. This is just going to give you a ever so slight head start. Secondly, we have the deluxe edition. Things get a little bit more interesting here, because it comes with something called the Ring of Assurance. We have no idea what this actually is. It may just act as an assurance that you don't lose something when you die or your hired pawn dies. Maybe you don't need to buy them back again with rift crystals or something like this. But more importantly, we have the Explorer's Camping Kit, which you actually don't start the game with. You need to buy it from a shop in-game using the in-game currency. So I'm imagining that it may unlock some kind of unique gameplay feature. When you rest using this camp, it might give you a certain buff. I can't confirm that. Then we get 1500 rift crystals. This is one of the unique currencies that you earn for free in the game anyway. You see, in Dragons Dogma 2, you can enter this area called the Rift, and that's where you hire pawns from other players. Now, depending on the level difference from your character that these pawns are, they might be more powerful or less powerful. It will change the amount of rift crystals you need to spend on hiring them. So the more rift crystals you have, the more powerful the companions you hire will be. So more crystals are nice to have, but again, you'll get this by playing the game anyway. You also get the soundtrack, which we've not heard yet, and a bunch of items which are mostly consumable, I think, but I'm not sure if some are unique or can even be brought in the in-game shops. We have the Art of Metamorphosis, which lets you change your appearance at any time. The Incense that lets you change your pawn's inclination, which is incredibly useful. The Heartfelt Pendant, which can be gifted to other players. The Makeshift Key Gale. I have no idea what this actually is, but it could be access to an exclusive boss early. And again, we don't know if you can also buy the key in-game at a certain point as well. You also get a Wake Stone to heal dead pawns and a Harpy Smoke Beacon that attracts the Harpies over, and that's going to be useful because you can like grab onto them and then they'll take you to those unexplored areas. Because I'm guessing there's not always going to be a Harpy nearby when you want to ascend up to a higher level area. You can check out my last video for a summary of the other starting classes, the day-night mechanics, and all the other things that Dragon Dogma has to offer. I'll see you there, and don't forget to grab dragon hair from the link below.